I do.
So
I got you.
I'm getting the sense that everybody's probably very relieved that the rodeo road trip is over right now.
I am. I mean, I can't remember a road trip like this, to be honest with you. Just where, you know, if it wasn't one thing, it was another. It's kind of like my golf game. You know, you drive it, and your short game's not good, and your short game's good, you're not driving it. So it's one of those things. Tonight, the defense was good. It was much improved over what we saw last night against the Knicks, but the offense didn't come along for the ride. You had two guys in LaMarcus and DeMar Derozan who were able to put the ball in the basket, but it just didn't happen for the rest of the guys out there. So it's one of those things, and I've said it over and over, especially this year. We all got a little spoiled with the way we were able to rack up road wins throughout the years when we had the big three and even the previous Spurs teams with Timmy and Dave, and you'd go out on the road and you feel like you were unbeatable, you know, even in other people's arenas. And the tide has turned now, and now we're finding it awfully difficult to win on the road.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the way it is for everybody else in the league. I mean, we were very spoiled by that. And with 8 of the next 10 at home, we've talked so much about the schedule getting a little bit easier and the fact that the Spurs have been so good at home. This is going to be a big march for this team.
It really is. You know, the road trip has always brought the team together. Maybe this 1-7 record on the road still brings them together. You know, I made the remark at the end of December where this team, at the end of November, early December, lost those 3 games by 100+ points combined. They didn't point fingers at each other. They regrouped. They started playing much better on the defensive end of the floor, and they had an outstanding December. They can still recapture a lot of that, especially when you come home. You have some home cooking. You have the fans behind you. You win a couple at home. You get your confidence. You can go out on the road. That Atlanta game is gettable, but you got to take care of business at home. You got to kind of reestablish yourself, and you got to get your confidence back.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. And when you talk about reestablishing yourself, I think an important fact in that is that the Spurs are going to be healthy coming into this home stretch. I think having Derrick in and out of the lineup really threw the Spurs out of sync. Going into this road trip, it seemed like they kind of figured out who they are, what their identity is, what their rotations are. The bench was clicking. Guys had good chemistry. And then that got all thrown out of whack for whatever reason on the Rodeo road trip. So, like Sean said, hopefully going home, being able to get time in the practice facility, sleep in your own bed, have a full, healthy roster, will get the team back to where we were used to seeing them.
Sean, is it encouraging that DeMar Derozan has come out of the All-Star break with 3 games looking like the DeMar Derozan that we saw in the early part of the season?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I thought there was a little bit of a lull, and, you know, throughout an 82-game season, everybody goes through that. Everybody goes through a 2-week period, a 3-week period where they're not themselves. The ball's not falling. You're out of sync. You're out of rhythm a little bit. Sometimes it happens twice in the season. So that's to be expected. You know, no one that I can remember besides, you know, the greats like Michael or Kobe, those kind of guys, where they're on all the time. Their slump might be a game or two, but, you know, perennially, you have players that go through a 2-week period where, you know, nothing's going right for them. That happened a little bit for DeMar, but I thought he recaptured his old form because he was aggressive and he looked for his shot first as opposed to trying to set up other players.